welcome to another episode. Today's question is who is to change? The thinker or the thought? Who has to change? Whether it is thinker or the thought that has to change. That is the question. The changeless is consciousness. What is changeless is? Consciousness. It's absolute. You cannot change it. It is complete. You cannot add it to it, reduce it, or change it. It is complete by itself. So that is what is changeless. And what is to change? You have asked the question whether it is thinker or the thought. Is the thinker different from the thought? Is there separately a thinker apart from the thought? You can change the thought. Then the thinker changes. Learn new things, develop new skills, and practice. Change will come. But that is external. That again is a product of thought. If you go beyond the changeable, then you can understand unchangeable, which is consciousness. So whatever you plan to change is still within the realm of the thought. If you go beyond that, then you get unchangeable, which is consciousness. And next we will see from J.Krishnamurti's Tradition and Revolution. From that we will see a few lines. Thought, knowing of the thought, intelligence are all maintained by still thought only. Knowing of the thought, intelligence, all still within the realm of the thought. To say that thought must end and intelligence must come into being is again an action of thought. The statement thinker and thought are one is again the action of thought. You are saying perfect instrument through thought. Perfect the instrument through thought. To me, the traditional approach to perfect the instrument through thought and so to go beyond, and the act of cultivating intelligence and the beyond, the going beyond the time, all these are still in the area of thought. That is so. Therefore, in that very thought, there is the thinker. The thinker says, this must happen, this must not happen. These are the conditions put by the thinker. The thinker has become the will of the achievement. The will to perfect the instrument is part of thought. But the questionnaire is part of the thought. The whole structure is also part of the thought. You can divide, subdivide, change. But it is all within the field of the thought. And that is time. Thought is memory. Thought is material. The material is memory. We are still functioning within the area of the known. The man who is cultivating the thought says he will go to the unknown, through the known, perfect the known, and get enlightenment. Again, all this is thought. The whole thing is thought. Everything is within the field of thought. The change, divisions, subdivisions, all this is within the thought. Perfecting the things and attaining enlightenment is still a thought, so you won't get enlightened. I have pain, physical or psychological grief. They are all included in pain. The movement away from it is duality. The thinker is the movement away. The thinker then says this should not be. He also says there should not be duality. First, see the fact that the movement is away from what is. It is the movement of the thinker who brings in duality. In observing the fact of pain, how should there be thinker in that observation? The thinker arises when there is movement, either backwards or forwards. The thought that I had no pain yesterday, in that duality arises. Can the mind remain within the pain? without any movement away from it, which brings in the thinker. That is, any movement brings in the thinker. The complete non-perception of what is breeds the thinker. If you are staying with the reality, with what is, then there is no thinker. But once you start moving away from what is, the reality, then there is thinker. That's what he is trying to tell. Which is dualistic. Once the thinker comes in, then there is duality. And there is dualistic action. When the mind falls again into the trap of dualistic action, that is what is, remain with that. For any movement away from that is another dualistic action. The mind is always dealing with what is as noise, no noise, and what is. The fact needs no transformation because it is already the beyond. Because what is reality does not need any transformation, any change. It is as it is. It is there. Once you understand that, then you are not going in for any dualistic action of changing it. And this understand takes you beyond. So next we will see from Osho, from his book Dang Dang Doko Dang. He says, then there comes a moment when you become so silent that the listener disappears. When you are becoming silent, the listener disappears. First your thoughts disappear, then your thinker disappears. Because the thinker cannot remain without the thoughts, the thinker is nothing but the interlink between the thoughts. Who is the thinker? He is the interlink between your thoughts. Once you are going inwards, you become silent. The listener disappears. The thinker disappears. The thinker cannot exist without thoughts. When thoughts are no longer there, suddenly the thinker evaporates. When you are listening so totally that there is no thought arising, passing, coming and going, then the listener also disappears. That is, the duality goes when you are silent. When there is no coming and going, there is no thought, then there is no listener or thinker. Where any more learning is of no avail, then this movement where nothing can be got from outside, learning no more avails, then there is no need. Now you are enough into yourself. This is what the Zen people call it, approaching. That is, when you understand there is nothing more in the outside world for you to learn or listen or understand, nothing you require from outside, then there is no thinker or listener. There is no entity, separate entity. So that is what Zen people call approaching. So you are coming home, approaching closer and closer. So first you are full of thoughts. To drop those thoughts, hearing is emphasized. Hear the master, or the winds, or the thundering clouds. Listening is used as device to drop the thoughts. So start listening to the things, whatever your environment, the words of the master, or the environment, the winds, the clouds, thundering clouds. So listen to them. Maybe the birds chirping nearby. Then this can be used to drop thoughts. When thoughts are dropped, one day you will realize that the thinker has disappeared. Now there is no longer anything like listener. The device has worked. The work is over. Now there is no need to listen to the outside because there is nothing to learn from outside. This is what Zen calls approaching. Now you are approaching home. Everything is within you. You are coming to the innermost shrine Thoughts do not allow you to listen, and thinker does not allow you to enter into yourself. Thinker is the subtlest part of thoughts. Thoughts are gross thinker, and the thinker is subtle thoughts. Thoughts prevent you from listening to the outside. The thinker prevents you from listening to the inside. First, drop the thoughts, because the grass can be dropped more easily, so that you can listen to the outside. Then the thinker disappears. Now you can listen to the inside. Here Osho is suggesting a method that listen to the outside, slowly the listener goes away, then concentrate on the inside, listen to the inside, then you become one with the listener and the listen. There is no listener. So first the outside and then the inside, so that the thinker, the listener, everybody vanishes. Then the master speaks from the innermost core of your heart. The outer master is just to help you create the inner master. The outer master is just a provocation of the inner master to come into its full swing, to come into the full being. The outer master is just a situation so that the inner master can awaken. And one goes beyond. When one goes beyond these two stages, you have been said to transcend, truly transcended. That is, truly transcended is when the outside and inside, the listener on the outside and the thinker on the inside, both disappear. Then you have transcended, truly transcended. Now comes the last point. First you drop the thoughts, then you drop the thinker. First the outside master disappears, then the outside object disappears, then you come to the inside. But the inside can exist only with the outside. That is the point. If there is outside, then there is inside. If there is an inside, then there is outside. As I told you, the thinker can exist only with thoughts. In exactly the same way, the inside can exist only with the outside. If the outside disappears, the inside also disappears. Because they are both two aspects of the same coin. The outside and inside is the same. It is a division created by the mind. So it is two sides of the same coin. So first the outside disappears, then you come in, and suddenly you find one day that inside is also disappearing, because it is nothing but the innermost core of the outer. They are both together. How can you have an inside? How can you have an inside if you don't have an outside? How can you have an inside if you don't have an outside? Just think of a house which has only an inside, no outside. How can it have only an inside without the outside? Or how can it have only the outside without any inside? How can it have only an inside with an outside? Or how can it have only the outside without any inside? They both exist together. So this is what Osho says. So will thought destroy our life? Actually, I'll give a link to the video. The thought is harmless unless we believe it. It is not our thoughts, but our attachments to thoughts that causes suffering. This is told by Byron Katie. And then being nobody. There is another video which I'll give a link. Thought has created the society and sees advantage of becoming powerful, dominant, an important person, which happens only through ambition. Can we live in this world without ambition, without the image of pleasure and thought has created? This is by J.Krishnamurti. And with this, we will end this episode. Stay with me for another episode. Subscribe to my channel. Share this video. Thank you.